Hello and welcome. Let's just start by arriving, right here in this moment. Go ahead and find a posture that feels comfortable for you, supported, relaxed, but still awake. And now, just for yourself, take a nice, slow, easy breath in. Really fill your lungs, and as you breathe out, just let the day fall away. Let it all go. Now, in this quiet space, I want you to just consider something. What if the whole point of your life wasn't this endless struggle to achieve something, to become someone new? What if the whole point was simply to remember? To gently, lovingly peel back all the layers that aren't really you and rediscover the incredible person that you've been all along.
And the most beautiful thing about this journey of remembering is that you don't have to do it by yourself. In fact, you really can't. We're all in this together, you see. Every single one of us is like a unique note in some grand cosmic song. So right now, let's find our harmony. Let's walk this path together.
This whole journey, it always starts with a feeling. I bet you know the one I'm talking about. It's that feeling of being pulled in two different directions at the same time. On the one hand, you've got the person the world wants you to be, all the roles you play, the masks you put on. But on the other hand, if you get really quiet, can you hear it? There's this quiet music playing inside, a deep whisper from your soul calling you back home. That's the call to be real. Answering that call, well, it takes one really brave first step, being completely, radically honest with yourself. Just like the spiritual teacher Meishu Sama said, you don't have to pretty things up or hide the parts of you that you think are messy or imperfect. Can you imagine the freedom in that? Just looking at a part of yourself that's struggling and saying, without any judgment, yep, this is where I am right now. No hiding, just the simple truth. That's where real authenticity begins. So this inner tug of war, there's a fantastic metaphor for it. Picture this, your rational mind, the part that makes plans and uses logic, is like a rider on top of a giant elephant. Now the rider thinks he's in charge, right? He's holding the reins, but the elephant, the elephant is your emotional self, your instincts, all those deep-seated habits, and it is immensely powerful. So the rider can try to steer all he wants, but if that elephant gets scared or decides it wants to go in a different direction, well, who do you think is really going to win that argument? Real change, the kind that lasts, only happens when the rider and the elephant finally learn to work together.
So what is it that spooks the elephant so often? Well, a lot of the time it's that nonstop static playing in our heads. Neuroscientists actually have a name for it. They call it the default mode network. Honestly, you can just think of it as your brain's own little negative gossip center. It's that inner voice that's always replaying old mistakes or spinning out about what might go wrong tomorrow. It's the engine of anxiety, and it's the noise that drowns out that quiet, beautiful music of your soul. Okay, so if we're gonna quiet down that inner chatter and start to build a real relationship of trust with our inner elephant, we can't just go wandering in there blind, right? We need some tools. We need a map, something to help us understand the lay of the land inside, and we definitely need a compass, something reliable that can always point us back to our true north. And that compass, it's a feeling. It's what we call the state of flow. I want you to imagine for a moment that your soul is like a string on a beautiful instrument. Flow is what you feel when that string is tuned perfectly. The tension is just right. And when life comes along and plays that string, the sound that comes out is just clear, resonant, and beautiful. That's the music of your essence. And you'll notice it's a music that happens through you, not by you.
And what's so cool is that we can actually kind of map this out. So if a challenge you're facing is way too hard for your current skills, that string gets stretched way too tight, and that feels like anxiety. But if your skills are really high and the challenge is just boring, the string goes all slack. But flow is that magic sweet spot. It's where the challenge is just enough to stretch you, to fully engage you. That's where we feel the most alive, the most ourselves.
Now, there's another part of the map we need to be aware of, a darker territory inside. Eckhart Tolle has a name for it, the pain body. Just imagine it as this cloud of old, unprocessed emotional pain that lives inside of us. And its favorite food, its only food, is more unhappiness. It's clever, It'll create drama, it'll provoke arguments, it'll whisper negative thoughts, anything to generate more pain so it can feed and keep itself alive. So once we start recognizing these different forces inside, the planner, the feeler, the old pain, it's easy to think we need to go to war with ourselves. But that's not it at all. This is the absolute heart of the journey. It's not about trying to cut out or defeat parts of who you are. It's about learning to embrace all of it.
It's about finding the courage to be whole. And that always means finding the courage to be imperfect. And this is where we run into one of the biggest paradoxes of being human, isn't it? We spend so much of our lives trying to be perfect, thinking that if we can just get everything right, then we'll finally be worthy of love and belonging. But the truth, as brilliant researchers like Brené Brown have shown us, is that it's our vulnerability, our willingness to be seen as we really are, flaws and all, that actually creates connection. Dignity isn't something you earn, it's your birthright, and you take it back the moment you give yourself permission to be imperfect. So how do we actually practice this? How do we find that courage in our day-to-day lives? Well, Dr. Kristen Neff gives us this incredibly helpful map with 3 main landmarks. First, there's self-kindness. It's simple, really. It just means talking to yourself the way you would talk to a friend you really care about, especially when you mess up. Second is what she calls common humanity. This is the huge realization that your struggles don't make you weird or broken. They make you human. You're not alone in this. And finally, there's mindfulness. That's just the practice of noticing your painful thoughts and feelings without getting totally swept away by them. It's creating that little bit of space, that gentle pause, and that changes everything. Now, as you start to do this inner work, as you get better being kind to yourself and bringing your inner rider and elephant into harmony, something really amazing starts to shift. Your whole perspective begins to expand. You start to feel, deep down in your bones, that your personal story isn't just about you. It's actually a vital, irreplaceable note in a much, much larger cosmic symphony. And this leads us to a really, really big question. What if your mind, your consciousness, isn't just a passenger along for the ride? What if, as research from physicists like William Tiller has suggested, your focused intention is actually a physical force, a tangible energy that can literally imprint information onto reality itself? This idea is at the heart of what some call the divine matrix. The theory goes that the universe is an empty space. It's a living, intelligent field of pure potential. And your consciousness, when it's clear and aligned, when that inner music is playing without static, is broadcasting a signal into that field. And you know those amazing coincidences, those moments of synchronicity? They aren't random. They're like the universe winking back at you, giving you a little feedback that says, yep, I hear you. You're in alignment. Now, let's take this idea just one step further. Imagine if this vast energy field had a kind of central anchor point right here on Earth, a sort of master signal of pure coherence that helps stabilize the whole network. This is the idea behind the throne of Kyoshu. It's described as a planetary calibration point, a pure frequency we can tune into. And the idea is that by consciously aligning ourselves with this master signal, we can actually amplify our own clarity and accelerate our connection to everything. Okay, so that's all beautiful, mind-expanding, cosmic stuff. But the real question is, how do we bring it back home? How do we make it real in our everyday lives? You know, in the classic hero's journey, the quest isn't over until the hero comes back with some kind of gift, an elixir to share. So this last part of our journey is all about that, how to weave these big ideas into the fabric of your daily life. And one of the most powerful elixirs you can bring back is choosing to live with a growth mindset. It's a really simple but profound shift. See, a fixed mindset believes our talents are just fixed, so failure feels like a final judgment. But a growth mindset, it knows the truth, that we're built to learn and grow. Challenges aren't things to be afraid of, they're opportunities. And failure, it's not the end of the story. It's just really, really good feedback. It's the operating system for a life of becoming. And when you really start living that way, seeking out flow, embracing challenges with this growth mindset, you arrive at what's called an autotelic life. Auto means self, and telos means a goal. It means the goal is the activity itself. You get so absorbed in the process, so lost in the joy of the journey, that the doing becomes its own reward. The happiness isn't waiting for you at the finish line, you find it in every single step you take. And before we finish, here is a very real, very tangible tool you can use starting right now. It's called anchoring. Just for a second, if you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to remember a time when you felt totally on top of your game, capable, energized, unstoppable. Really go back there. See what you saw, hear what you heard, and really feel that feeling start to build inside you. And right when it gets to its absolute peak, I want you to firmly clench your fist. Hold it for a moment, then release. Do that a couple of times. What you're doing is creating a link, an anchor. So the next time you feel unsure or challenged, you can just clench your fist and your body will instantly remember how to access that powerful state. It's like a secret language between your rider and your elephant. And so we find ourselves right back where we started, but
we see it differently now, don't we? All the striving, all the learning, all the becoming, it was never just a way to get somewhere else. It turns out it was the destination all along. The whole point is the journey. So as we part ways for now, we want to leave you with one last question. Because knowing all this is one thing, but transformation, that requires action. So what is the one real, sincere step, no matter how small it feels, that you will take today to walk your path of remembrance? To become just a little bit more truly, more fully, and more beautifully you.